welcome back to another YouTube video, and today I am doing one of my most highly requested videos of all time, and I am going to be showing you guys how to make your very own graphics for yourself. So they are super easy to make. You just need to have the right information and the right programs and stuff. This tutorial is only for computer only, sadly. I do not know how to make edits on phones, but maybe I can make a tutorial in the future if that's something you guys really want to see. So I guess we'll just get started with a list of things you will need. So the first things you will need are 3 programs, and the 3 programs I use for making edits are Roblox Studio, Blender, and Paint.net. And those are the three programs. All the programs are completely free to download and use. They're super awesome and 100% free, so go check them out down in the description below. So I think that is pretty much all you need. Just be sure to check out the description to make sure you have everything, because I will make a list down below of all the things you need as well, just in case I forgot to mention something. And I guess we'll get started right now. So the first thing I recommend you do is make a folder on your desktop. And you can name it anything you want, just make sure it'll be something that you'll be able to easily find. I named it tutorial video because this is a tutorial, so I made sure it was something easy to find, and so I would know what the folder is for, and I can find it super easily. Next, what you want to do is go into Roblox Studio. This will be your first stop, so we're just going to wait for it to open, and this is completely free. You can download it on Roblox's website. It's super awesome program if you don't have it. What you want to do is in the top left corner over here, you want to hit New and click Base Plate. You just want to go to a blank base plate, and it's loading in right now. So we're just going to wait for that to load in, and I will show you guys the next step. Once you have your base plate open, what you want to do is go up to plugins and get load character. Now, if you do not know how to get the load character plugin, I will be showing you guys super quick because it is so easy. What you want to do is up here in the top left corner, again, hit manage plugins under the little plugins tab. You're going to click find plugins, and it'll take you to the Roblox website in Roblox Studio and show you all these different plugins. It should be right next to the top. It's a very popular plugin, so it should be really close to the top. What you want to do is just come onto this page and click install. Of course, it says reinstall for me because I already have it, but once you hit install, what you want to do is restart your Roblox Studio, completely shut it down, and reopen it up. You don't have to save your base plate or anything, and it should be up here in the little plugins tab at the very top. So what you want to do is click load character and select the character that you want to render. Right now, I will be showing you how to render an R6 model. If you would like to see how to render an R15 model, I will leave a little timestamp on the video right here. I don't know what time it'll be after I'm done editing and recording, but it'll be up on the screen. Just skip to that time and you can see a tutorial for doing an R15 model. So now we're going to be doing the R6 model. What you want to do is type in the username of the person you want to do. You're going to make sure this little spawn at origin box is ticked, and you're going to hit spawn R6. They should just appear right in the middle, be your character that you wanted to spawn in. And now what you're going to do is on the right side right here, you're going to right click your player right here. You may have to open workspace to find them. You're going to right click and select export selection. Now what you want to do in this little window is find the folder that you made at the beginning of the video. So we're going to go to the desktop, find tutorial video, and just save it as anything. I just recommend saving it as something that you'll recognize. Since my username is pickles44456, I'm just going to save it as pickles44456. You can pretty much name it anything. Just make sure it's something that you're going to remember and you'll be able to find really easily. Now you can close out of Roblox Studio. You don't have to save the changes or anything, and now we are completely done in Roblox Studio. The next thing you want to do is open Blender. So right when you open Blender, you're probably going to get a little pop-up. You can just hit one of the mouse buttons and it'll close it for you. Now I know this program looks super crazy, but of course we're going to be going over every step, so it is really easy for you guys. First, how you want to get rid of this little block in the middle is you are going to hit the delete key on your keyboard and just click the little delete right here. And I will put a picture up on the screen just to show you where the delete key is, just in case if you don't know. Now you're going to go to the top left and select File. You're going to go down almost to the bottom and select Import, not Export. The little import should have the arrow pointing to the left. Now what you want to do is go over here and go down this list and select wavefront.obj. Now it's going to open a thing where you can choose your file, so we are just going to go to the desktop or wherever you saved your file again. We are going to go to tutorial video, and 2 files are going to show up from Roblox Studio. You want to select the one that is .obj and just double click it. Now, a really quick step you want to do just to make sure moving your model around is super easy, you want to select on your keyboard all at the same time. You want to hit Control-Shift-Alt-C and a little pop-up will open. You want to select the second option, Origin to Geometry. And what that'll do is put your little arrows on the middle of your model and not put them on a different part of your model. It'll just be straight on the middle and be super organized. Now, how you move around in this program is you want to hit Shift and F at the same time on your keyboard, and it'll put you in like a little free mode where you can fly around and look at everything you're doing. You can hold down Shift to go faster if you want to. After you're done flying around, get a nice view of your model, just hit Enter on your keyboard and it'll lock it and you can move your mouse again. Now that we have our model in, how we give them all their color back is you're going to go to this little plus about the top right corner. You're just going to pull that out and it'll open some more settings. You're going to click down here at shading. You might have to scroll down to get there, but you're going to select Textured Solid and Ambient Occlusion. And what that'll do is give your character color and give them a little bit of shading and make them look just how they look like in Roblox. So now after we got our character in here, we are going to set some settings on the right really quick. I'm going to drag it out so it is super easy for you guys to see. What you want to do for your first setting is go down here to Dimensions. Now, these are the normal settings and they're okay, they're HD, but we want to have 4K settings so they are the highest quality they can be. So what you want to do is you want to set your X to 3840 and you want to set your Y to 2160. And you want to make sure this little bar down here is dragged up all the way to 100%. And what that'll do is make your render 4K, a bigger image, just way better, higher quality and everything. Now you're going to go down here on the same screen down to shading. You're just going to pop this little thing open. Where it says alpha, you're going to open the little drop down and select transparent. And then you can just shut shading. You don't need any more of that. And what that'll do is when you render, instead of it being a gray background, it'll be a transparent background. So you can put it on whatever you want to, any background you want to, instead of it just being gray. Now to give your render some lighting and more color instead of it just being dark when you render it, you're going to go to the top where this little camera is. You're going to select the little picture of the world. Now you're going to select ambient occlusion, environment lighting, and indirect lighting. Now I can't tell you exactly what these settings do. I can just say that they make the render 10 times better. I don't know which one does it, but they do make them better. And that is completely all the settings you need on this right hand side. You can just drag that back to the side. That is absolutely all the settings you need over there. So now we're going to work on actually bending and moving our character and making them look different. So what you want to do is select one of the parts you want to model. And you're just going to select an arm or a leg or whatever you want to move, and you're just going to drag it away from the body with the little arrows. Now using Shift F again to get over to where your arm is or leg, you're just going to go there and hit enter when you have a nice view of it. Now, how you bend it is very easy. You just got to make sure you pay attention to all the steps. We are going to go down to the bottom right here, and we are going to open Object Mode and select Edit Mode instead. And then that'll give us ways to bend it, only edit the arm. It's very easy. So we are going to go to the left side with these settings right here, and you want to do this with every arm or leg you do. You want to select right here on the list, Subdivide, and then farther down the list a little bit, you want to hit Remove Doubles. And what that'll do, that'll just make it easier to render. It gives you more options. It's just way better that way. So now we have it all set up to bend. The only problem is the whole arm is selected and we only want a tiny piece of the arm selected, like half of it. So what you want to do is go to one of these little vertices right here, right in the middle, and you're just going to right click and it'll only select that vertice. You want to make sure you select the vertice in the middle or towards the bottom, because if you select one at the top, then that'll include that in the final selection, and then it'll bend the top of the arm as well as the bottom, and we don't really want that. Now to start selecting the arm, what you want to do is just hit B on your keyboard and it'll give you a little selection size thing. You're just going to drag it over the lower half of the arm. Make sure to include a little bit of the top in there. As you can see, I went a little over the half line, and we are just going to let go and it'll select that part of the arm. But now you're going to use Shift F and go to every side of the arm and make sure the whole arm is selected. You just hit B again and continue selecting until you got absolutely everything selected. You also want to make sure that you have these little rounded edges down here selected, and check the bottom and make sure that is selected as well, because we want that all to bend. After you have it all selected, now you are able to start bending it. So a very good tip I have when you start bending, what you want to do is make sure you are facing the side you want to rotate, if that makes sense. It kind of works like a clock, you know. If I try to rotate it here and I want it to go forward, it'll just go to the side, if that sort of makes sense. So you want to kind of think like a clock. It's going to only rotate the way you are facing it. So since I want my arm to sort of be facing forward in a kind of hand out gesture, I'm going to use the clock idea and go to the side. Now how you want to rotate is you want to use the R key. You just want to select the R key and rotate it either way, whatever way you want it to go. You want to rotate a little bit and then sort of move the arm so it looks more natural. Rotate it a little bit, move the arm so it looks more natural, and just kind of keep moving it around until you have it where you want it to be. So now I have the arm where I want it to be. But really quick, a setting that you want to do with every arm and leg you render, when you render it in Blender and start bending it around, it kind of gives it a weird shading. It'll look pretty weird. So what you want to do while in edit mode, you want to go over here to the little 3 dots triangle connected. You're going to click that and just turn off auto smooth. Now you can just go back to the camera, and that is just one of the settings that you'll need to be using on the right side while you are rendering. After your arm bent the way you want it, and I think I do, what you want to do is just hit object mode again in the bottom, and you can just move your arm back into place. Now after you've already done that, of course you can still go back into edit mode and move the arm around if you need to. Just change up some things, make it look a little bit better, and then you can just go back into object mode and it'll be there. Now, of course, you can also use rotate in object mode, so you can rotate the arm a little bit if you want it more facing forward. Just remember the little clock idea, so then you don't accidentally rotate it in the wrong spot. Now we are just going to render another arm really quick just to go over our steps. So we are going to go into edit mode. We are going to click subdivide and remove doubles on the side. Right click a vertex and just use the B key on your keyboard to select all of the arm. Now after we've selected all the arm, we are going to rotate it a little bit to make it a hand on hip position, and making sure to rotate it in sort of a clock-like way. We're just going to put it back and make sure that we go to the right hand side and turn off auto smooth at the little triangle. So now that we have that done, I think I am pretty much ready to render my photo, other than rotating the head, though I rotate the head last, so I will show you how to do that last. What you want to do when you're ready to set up the camera is you want to hit the O key on the number pad on your keyboard. I will show you that on screen too, because that can be sort of hard to find. You are just going to select Shift F like earlier and start moving around. Just make sure to get whatever you want on the inside of the rectangle and make sure whatever you don't want is on the outside of the triangle. So what you want to do when you're done setting up your camera and got it the way you want it is just hit enter on your keyboard, and then you can move your mouse around again and finish messing with the settings. So what you want to do when you want out of the camera is just hit the O key again and it'll let you out of the camera. The camera's already set up, so that'll be all right. We're going to select the head to rotate it really quick. So we are going to right click the head itself, then use the B tool to select everything. But this will be in object mode instead of edit mode, because object mode selects the objects, edit mode just selects stuff within one object, if that makes sense. I recommend before rotating the head, we're going to hit Control Shift Alt C again, all at the same time, and make sure we select our origin to geometry to make sure that this is in the center. So now what we want to do is go above our head, make sure, like, of course, since we are turning our head a little bit to the side, we want to make sure, again, that it is in a clock-like sort of mindset. So we are looking at it like a clock, so it'll rotate this way. We're just going to hit R on our keyboard like earlier and just sort of rotate our head. So we're just going to rotate it a little bit at a time, then hit the 0 key and go back in. As you can see, I didn't rotate it all the way, so we can just hit 0 again and go back above, rotate it a little bit more, then look. She's looking in the right spot now, so now you could just use your arrows to sort of position the head in a better place. I also sometimes rotate the head a little bit to give it a little tilt. You can also bend the legs if you want to, the exact same way you bend the arms. I'm just going to do a little tiny bend from the camera with the R button, just to make sure it has a little bit of a bend right there, though you can also put like little knee bends in your legs if you want to. You would do that the exact same way that you do the arms. So now after you have your render completely set up and you are ready to render it, get it as a photo, what you want to do is go over to the right side again and just click render. Now this will render out your image and make it look really good. So I'm just going to click that real quick. So now we have our rendered image, and if for some reason you are not happy with how your rendered image came out and you want to change something, you don't have to start over. All you have to do is go down to the left corner over here, open this little drop down menu with the little picture of a landscape. You're going to click that and just click the bottom option that says 3D view, and it'll take you back here so you can continue editing it if you want to, making sure it looks the way you want it to, and yeah, you can just render it again and have a brand new image. So now that we have our image rendered, we are going to go down right next to that little drop down menu that we were next to. We're going to select image and then click save as image. Now you're just going to select your folder again, like mine was on the desktop tutorial video. You're just going to type in a name. You can name it whatever you want. I just like to name them graphic. Just hit enter twice and it'll save it for you. Now you can exit Blender if you're sure you're done. You don't really have to save unless you might want to come back to Blender and fix it for any reason, but I usually do not come back, so I will just close it. And that was pretty much the hardest part of making a graphic. So now this is going to be the part that we do in Paint.net. But really quick, if you guys want to do R15 models, I will be showing you how to render R15 models because you do them differently, and I will be showing you guys really quick. If you did an R6 model, then I will put a little timestamp on the video right now so you can skip ahead and go to the Paint.net part and don't have to watch the R15 part unless you want to. So just go to that timestamp and you can watch how to do the render in Paint.net. So now I will be showing you guys how to render an R15 model. So what you want to do is go up to plugins at the top and open your load character plugin. You want to type in the username of the person you want to render. I'm going to be rendering my brother's character today because he has an R15 character. What you want to do is make sure you have spawn at origin ticked, and you're just going to click spawn R15 and they'll just spawn in right there for you. So now that we're back in Roblox Studio and made our folder on the desktop, what you want to do is right click your player's username right up here in the Explorer. Now, if you can't see it, maybe your workspace is closed, so you can just click this little arrow next to workspace just in case if it doesn't show up. What you want to do is right click it, go down all the way to export selection. You're just going to click that. Now what you want to do is find your folder here, so it's going to be on the desktop, and I named it his username, and you can just save it right here. Now you can name it pretty much whatever you want to, just name it something that you're going to remember and know what it is. So I'm just going to name it Parker6Webkins again, like his username, and you can just hit save, and that is done. Now you are completely done in Roblox Studio, and now we are going to be heading over to Blender. Also, when you are closing out of Roblox Studio, you do not need to save the base plate. I forgot to show that part, but you don't have to save it. It's completely fine. So now that you are in Blender, everything's going to pop up. It's going to look super crazy, but don't worry, it is really easy once you get used to it. You are just going to click anywhere on the screen to get rid of this little box right here, and then you are going to be in Blender. Now what you want to do really quick to get rid of this little box in the middle is just click the delete key on your keyboard and just click the little OK delete right here. You're just going to click that and it'll get rid of it for you, so then you are ready to start rendering your character. Now what you want to do is go up to the top left right here and select File. You are going to go down the list and select Import right here. You're going to go over on Import and you're going to go down to wavefront.obj. You're just going to click that and it'll open a little file explorer. Now you just go to wherever your file is located again. So since mine is on the desktop, we go to the desktop, find the Parker6Webkins folder, and here it is. So what you want to do is select the OBJ file and not the MTL file. You're just going to double click the OBJ and it should open it in Blender for you. So what you want to do before you do anything else is really quick set a setting that you will need before you start rendering your character. What you want to do is hold down Control, hold down Shift, hold down Alt, and hold down C, and it'll open this little drop down right here. You want to select the second option, Origin to Geometry, and what that does is puts all the arrows on each individual part. Instead of moving your character as a whole, it kind of just puts the arrows at the center at each individual part, so it's easier to move the pieces around. It's just really a helpful thing to have turned on. So now, how you give your character color, what you want to do is go up to the side right here. I'm going to drag it out a little bit so you guys can see it a little bit better. what you want to do is go to the corner right here with the little plus, and you're just going to drag that out and you'll have even more settings. Now what you want to do is down towards the bottom at shading, you are going to select textured solid and ambient occlusion, and then you can just drag that back. You don't need it anymore. We're done with that. So what that does pretty much is just gives your character all their color, and it gives them shading and makes them look just like how they do in Roblox. Alright, so while we are here on the right side, we are just going to fix all the settings over here really quick so you don't have to worry about it the rest of the time. So what we are going to do is go to dimensions. You are going to go to resolution right here and set your X to 3840, and you are going to set your Y to 2160, and then at the bottom bar right here you are just going to drag this all the way to 100%. And what that does is changes your render from just like normal settings to 4K settings. It makes it look like really good and way better, so you definitely want to have it on 4K settings. Now you're going to go down just a little bit to shading. You're just going to open that box up right there with the little triangle. You're going to go to alpha and select transparent. And then you can just close this up and you don't need to mess with that anymore. So what that did is change your background from being a gray background when you render it to being a transparent background, so you can put it on pictures way easier, and it's just a really helpful setting to have turned on. So now at the top, right with the camera over here, I'll zoom in on it so you guys can see it. You're going to go over to the little world and click that. Now you're going to go down here and just tick the 3 boxes that say ambient occlusion, environment lighting, and indirect lighting. Now, I don't really know what these settings do, but they make the render look way better and just make it look way brighter and better. I mean, you can mess around with the settings if you want to, but I recommend having them all turned on. And you can just click the little camera again, and then we can drag this to the side because we are pretty much done with all the settings. Now you just need to move around your character to the pose you want it to be in. So as you're noticing, it is probably hard to move around in this program because you can't really zoom in like Roblox Studio or anything. So how you want to start moving around is you're going to click Shift and F at the same time, and it'll put you in like a free camera mode. So you can use W, A, S, and D to move around. You can just go forwards, backwards, and side to side. You can also hold down Shift while moving if you want to go faster, or not hold down Shift to go slow. So I'm just going to get into a nice position in front of the character so we can see what we're doing. So now that we are in front of the character, we are going to start rendering him and moving him around a little bit so we can make him look exactly how we want to. So what you want to do is right click just the top arm piece. You're going to click B on your keyboard and it'll open like this little selector. You're just going to drag only over the parts on the arm. And you just want to make sure the arm pieces are selected unless you want to move other pieces. You're going to click Shift and F again just to go and zoom in on the arm, and we are going to rotate it so it's kind of like a hand on hip position. Now, how you rotate things as Blender is you're going to hit R to start rotating it. But remember, when you're rotating in Blender, it's going to move in a kind of like clock-like direction, like you can only turn it in a circle. So for example, if I want to go over here, then I could bend the arm forward because it's going like a clock. See, it goes in a circle. And if I want to go to the front again and bend it forward, obviously I can't. It'll only turn in a clock-like direction. So remember that when you're doing edits, because that's a hard piece to learn, but very important. So what you're going to want to do is just kind of bend it in the way you want it. So you're just going to hit R and kind of move it until the arm's up a little bit for a hand on hip position. Then when you got like the top piece of the arm where you want it, what you're going to want to do is right click the bottom piece of the arm and just select the bottom piece of the arm in the hand. Then you'll only be rotating that piece, if that makes sense. We are only going to select the hand since we want to put it on the hip instead of, just poking it. So what we're going to want to do is go again thinking of the clock-like rotation system. We are going to look at the hand from where we want to rotate it and just slowly rotate. And then we can go out here and fix it up a little bit. So now, as you can see, we pretty much got a hand on the hip now. So I'm just going to really quick do it again with this other arm and make it waving at you guys. So what we're going to do again is right click one piece of the arm and then use B to select the rest of the arm. We are going to remember our clock-like rotation, and we are just going to get right in front of it and rotate it so it's facing up. Now, since the arm is backwards, of course, we want to turn it the other way so it looks normal. So we are going to go over the arm. So again, clock-like rotation. We are going to rotate it from the top. Then we'll go down to the front and rotate it a little bit more so it looks more like the position. And then we'll just use the arrows to drag it up to where it needs to go. So pretty much a lot of just rendering R15 characters is trial and error. You gotta go and rotate something, come back and rotate something else, rotate, rotate, rotate. But rotating pretty much is all that you're gonna be doing. So what you wanna do, again, is right click the piece that you wanna be doing and use B to select any other pieces that you need. We are just going to rotate this a little bit so it looks like his elbow is bent a little bit. We're just gonna do this and put it up here. Now, since we will only be rotating the hand, all we have to do is right click the hand, go to the top because we want to rotate it to the front. We are just going to rotate that, and then we can go and look at what we've done. So I usually don't render the legs on my characters because usually they don't show in my edits, but if you do, it is the exact same concept as the arms. All you need to do is right click one piece, use B to select the rest of the pieces, and just use R to rotate in whatever direction you want it to go. And that is pretty much it. You can also rotate the head if you want to with the exact same concept, right clicking one of the pieces and using B to select the rest. If you want to turn their head in a certain direction, you go above thinking of the clockwise rotation and just hit R, rotate, and boom. Now, what you want to do to render your character and get the final picture, you want to hit 0 on the number pad on your keyboard. I'll leave a little picture right here of where it is. You are going to select 0, and you will be in the camera. Now what you want to do is select Shift and F again so you can move where the camera needs to go. Whatever is in the little rectangle on the screen is going to be in your render. So anything that is grayed out on the sides will not be in it. So make sure to fit everything you want in your render inside that little square. Now when you have your camera positioned on where you want it to go, you are just going to hit Enter on your keyboard and it'll put your mouse back in free mode. You are going to go over to the right and hit render right here with the little camera. So now it should have rendered your character for you. I'm happy with how mine looks, but if you do not like how yours looks and kind of want to change the camera angle or change how a piece looks, what you need to do is go down to the left right here, this little drop down with, it looks like a little sunset. You're just going to click that, and at the very bottom of the list, you can hit 3D view, and it'll take you back into the editor mode, so you can change it up any way you want to. You can also get out of camera mode if needed by just hitting 0 again. You can just change back and forth from the camera, always hitting 0 on the number pad. So now that I'm happy with how my character looks, I am ready to put it in paint.net. But first you want to make sure that you save your character's image. So what you want to do is go down into the left corner right here. You are going to select image and the third option on the drop down menu, save as image. Now you are just going to find your same folder, mine's on the desktop again, and just save it as whatever you want. Just make sure you recognize the name. I usually just save the name as Gfx, and you just click enter 2 or 3 times to save, and it'll save it for you. Now you can X out of Blender, and you are ready to go into paint.net. Now it'll ask you if you want to save, but you can just hit OK. You don't need to save anything. It doesn't matter. So you just hit OK, and now we are going to open paint.net and work on our final image. Now hold on guys, before you do anything else in paint.net, I am going to be showing you the website I get my backgrounds from. So the website I get my backgrounds from is called Pexels, I believe, and I will leave a link for this website down in the description just in case. All the pictures on this website are completely free to use for either personal use or commercial use. It is a super awesome website, so you can look up any kind of background you like. So you could just use this little search on the top of the screen. What you are going to do is just type in whatever kind of background you want. They pretty much have everything on this website, so you can type in a color, you can type in, trees, the ocean, brick backgrounds, just absolutely anything. So I think for my character, I am going to be doing a pink background. So what we're going to do is just type in pink, and they'll have a ton of options right here. Now you can use pretty much any of these options, so I think I am going to be using this one today. So what you're going to do is just go up into this top corner right here, and it'll say free download. You are just going to click that, and you will save the image to your folder. Now I promise this website has no viruses. I've used it like bajillions of times, so I promise it's 100% safe for you guys, so just you don't need to worry about that. So now after you are done on Pexels, you can just click out of that and you can go back into paint.net. So we are going to start by making our graphics a certain size. So you need to make sure you make it the right size for what you're making it for. So if you're making it for a YouTube icon, for example, you need to make it 800 by 800 pixels. Or if you're making YouTube cover art, you need to make it the right size. How you figure out the size is you want to go on Google and type in whatever you need to make and size. So like if you're making a Discord icon, for example, you're going to type in Discord icon size, and it'll come up with the size of what you need to make it. So now that you have the size that you want, or you can just make it any size if it doesn't really matter, you're going to go to File. Up here in the top left, you're going to click the first option that says New, and you are just going to use the width and the height to make it the size you need. So I don't really need to make it a certain size, so I'm just going to make it maybe 1000 by 1000 pixels just because I want to make it that size. So now you have your image. Now a super helpful thing that I do in my graphics is you want to make a layer right here over on the right. You are going to click Add New Layer, and you are going to just paste in any color that you want. Now you can use the little toolbox over here on the left and just select the paint bucket, select a color down in the left, and you can just paste in any color that you want. And you are going to double click that layer on the right and name that layer Size. Now what this does is when you're pasting in new things and different layers, it's going to change the size of your image and make it all wonky. But then you can always come back to this size layer, use the little magic wand, select it, and then go to the top and select crop to selection, and it'll always fix the image size for you. So I will show you guys how to do that later in the tutorial when we need it. Now if you're missing any of these little boxes like the toolbox or the colors box or the layers box, I will show you how to reopen it really quick. You want to go to the top right corner and you'll see all these little boxes, and they should all be lit up as blue. If they are not, you're just going to want to click it and it'll reopen the box for you if it's missing. So the colorful one is the colors, this one is the layers, this is the history. I don't really use that, so you guys don't need it if you don't want it, and this is the tools. So now what you want to do is import your background first. You want to go up here to the top left and select layers. Now we are going to be using this button a lot because you're going to want to add lots and lots of layers of effects if that's your style, of course, and it just makes it super pretty. So you're going to select layers up here. You're going to go down to the little yellow icon that says import from file, and you're just going to click that. So what you want to do is go to where your file is located, where you saved your background. Like I said, I recommend saving your background to the folder where you saved your graphics and your render and everything else, because that just makes it really easy. You are going to select your background and just hit open. Now it's going to open that. You can use the little tool down in the right here. I'll zoom in on it to zoom in and out so you can see the whole image. You're just going to want to scale this down a little bit until it matches up to the square a little bit more, so it's not like really big. So we're just going to scale this down, and as you can see, there's the little square underneath. You're just going to want to make sure you get what you want in the picture over top of the square. Now here is where the little size layer comes in. You're going to go over to the right again where all the layers are. You are going to click the one that says size. And then over here in your toolbox, you're going to select the magic wand. You're just going to click right in this area where the square is. You're going to click that, and it'll put a little selection of where the square is. Now in the top, you're going to select image, and then just crop the selection, and then you can zoom in, and here is your background all set up in the size you need. So pretty much that is how we are going to be doing the rest of the render from now on. We are just going to be adding layers. So again, go to layers, import from file. You're just going to go to where your folder is, and now you are going to load in your render that you made. So I'm just again going to pull it in. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to fit it to fit the square like this. And then we are going to go to our size layer again. Select the magic wand, select the little square right here, and just hit image, crop to selection. Now if any of this doesn't make sense, like I said, be sure to leave a comment down below and I will help you out. So just let me know if any of this doesn't make sense, and I'll try my best to explain it to you guys. So now we have our character on top of our background. One really fun thing I like to do is outline my character. Now, you can't do this with normal Paint.net. You will have to install a mod. Unfortunately, I won't be showing you how to install mods on this video, but you can Google it online, just like how to install mods in Paint.net and stuff like that. So then you will be able to also have this mod, but it's completely unnecessary unless you really want it. So where my mod is located is in Effects. I'm going to go down to Object and select Outline Object. Now pretty much you can select any color and select the width and the softness. So I'm just going to make a little like sticker effect with white. I'm going to make it completely white and just outline my character a little bit, leaving the softness right at the middle. I'm just going to hit OK, and that'll outline my character. Now when you are doing this, make sure to have your character selected in the layers or it won't work. So now we are going to be adding some effects in. Now, I will be leaving download links to all the effects I am using in this video down in the description. Hopefully, I will be putting together a little package of some of the effects I use so you guys can use them too, and I'll just put some links to the stuff I use. So make sure to download that if you want the same effects as me, but if you don't, then that's okay. You can use your own effects. So I'm just going to go to Layers and import from File again. You want to find the folder where you saved all your effects in. Now, I have them in a certain folder, so they're going to be in a different folder because I keep them all in one spot. So first, I think I am going to be putting a bouquet in the background. Don't know if I said that right. Bouquets are little things full of circles. So what you want to do is just load it in and zoom out so you can see the whole thing. Now what you want to do to make sure this little like bouquet is not on top of your character, you are just going to go to the right in the layers and drag the effect under your character. Now you can just use the little scale to scale it down to fit the box. Make sure it covers all the box, and you're just going to go to Size, use your magic wand, select the square, and just hit Image, Crop to Selection again. So then you can just zoom in, and now it's on top. But you guys are probably wondering, you're like, hey, this image isn't right. It's covering my background. What's up here? So what you want to do is double click your layer right over here, the bouquet layer. You're just going to double click it, and you can just drag this little box to the side to be able to see how the effects look. You are going to change the blending mode. Now, it doesn't really matter what mode you pick, though I will show a few options of what I usually use, but really it is your preference on how it looks. Most of the time I'll use overlay, so see it gave it a little bit of an effect. I also use reflect, I use glow, and I use lighten. And sometimes I'll also use screen. So really you can pick which one out of those you think makes the effect look best. I think overlay made it look really good. Also, if you want to turn it down a little bit so it's not so strong, you can use this little drag bar right here called the opacity. You could just drag it up and down and you can see the effect get darker or the effect get lighter. So I'm just going to turn the effect like to medium, so then it sort of shows but sort of doesn't, and that is our first effect. Now of course, like I say all the time, if you need any help with this step, just leave a comment down below. I read all my comments and I will be super happy to help you guys out, so just let me know if you need any help at all. Now I think we will be adding a swirl effect, so what you want to do is go to Layers again, import from File again, and you are just going to go back to your folder where all your effects are. I am going to add a swirl, so I'll go to my swirls folder, and I will be putting a download link to this down in the description below. You're going to select the swirl you like the most. I think I want to use this one today, so I'm just going to double click it and it'll put it in the image. Now again, like all the other effects you're going to do, you're going to go to the layers on the right and just drag it under your character instead of it being over top and covering your character. I'm just going to scale it to the little square right here. Now the problem with this effect is you need to choose one setting. Like you can't choose whatever setting you want. So you're going to double click the effect, you're going to move this box to the side, and the effect you want to choose is additive. Now what that does is removes the black background so you can see the swirl on top of your photo without the black background covering everything up. So after you select additive, you could just hit OK, and we are just going to go to the size layer again, select with the little wand again, and just hit crop to selection again, and you can just zoom in. Now, if you want to change the color of your swirl, make it look a little bit different, because mine's green. I don't really think that goes with my pink theme. What you want to do is go to the top, go to Adjustments, and go to Hue and Saturation. Now, Now what you can do is drag this little color bar, and as you can see, it changes the colors of your swirl or whatever effect you put in. And this also works on any effect pretty much, though I usually only use it on swirls, so you guys would need to test it. But what you want to do is pretty much just find a color that you like. Usually the colors won't match up on the little hue bar, just because usually, of course, as you can see, it starts at red, but mine started at green, so the colors don't really match up, but you can just look at your swirl and see what color it is. So I want to get like a pink, so I'm going to get like this, which is kind of an orangey pink. If you want the color to be more vibrant, you can turn up the saturation, and as you can see, that'll make it super bright. I don't recommend using the light or dark for this kind of swirl because the background is black, so it kind of messes it up, if that makes sense, but sometimes you can use that for other effects. So I don't recommend it for the ones with the black backgrounds where you turn additive on, because it doesn't really work. So I'm just going to turn up the saturation a little bit to make it look a little bit more pink and vibrant. So again, like I said, this works with any effect. If the effect looks too bright and you're just like, I need to turn this down, you can just go over to the layers again, double click the layer you want to turn down, and you can just use this little bar down here to make it just sort of there, or you can make it completely there. I like it being completely there, so I'm just going to turn it up all the way. So we are going to be adding one more effect to this picture today that I recommend everyone does, and it is a lens flare. So what you are going to do is go to layers, import from file, and go to where you saved your lens flares. You can also find these on like Google Images. You can just search up lens flare like PNG and you can find tons of these. These are the 4 I usually use, so I don't really need to save anymore. So what you're gonna do is just load in the lens flare that you want. I want this one. And you are just going to rotate it and scale it to where it fits. You can also zoom out if you need to, just to be sure. You are just going to scale it and rotate it, do whatever you need to make it fit. So I think I like the lens flare like this. So once you're done scaling your lens flare in and are happy with how it looks, all you need to do, again, is go to size, select the little magic wand, select only the box, go to image, crop to selection. I'm telling you guys, that little size thing is going to become your best friend in Paint.net. So now what you want to do, of course, is go and select the lens flare on the layers over here, because as you can see, it's kind of too bright. You know, the shine is really bright. It doesn't really go with my photo. You can double click this, move the little box to the side, make sure you have the lens flare selected. You can change it to different settings. So like here's overlay, here's glow, here is reflect, here's screen, and here's lighten. So as you can see, you can kind of change it up a little bit so it doesn't look like so bright and there's just like a giant shine in the middle of your photo. You also want to make sure that your lens flare effect, as you can see in the layers box over here, is on top of your character and not below it, because it just gives your character, again, more of like a 3D look, a more custom look. I like how overlay looks the most, so I'm going to select that one. So as you can see, if I disable lens flare and then enable it, you can see it made such a difference. Now sometimes I'll put lens flares on top of one another to give it more bright effect. You can do whatever you want to. This is completely yours. You don't have to follow me to a T. You can do whatever you want. I am just giving you the basics of what I do. So now I think I'm pretty much done with this render. So now I think I am pretty much done with this graphics, but I kind of want to show you guys how to add in one more effect that I love so much and add into all my graphics, and that is to give it a border. Now you can go to your layers, import from file, and you can save some borders. See, I have some right here, but I will show you guys how to do the custom border that I do, where it gives it like a little 3D square. So what you want to do is go over to the layers box over here. You're going to go all the way to the bottom and select the little layer with the plus. You're just going to click that, and then you are going to drag it to the very bottom. So it's going to be under all your effects, but on top of your background. So you just want to make sure it's sandwiched in right there. You are going to go over here and select the little shapes at the very bottom of your toolbox. And you are just going to make sure it's selected on rectangle and make sure the shapes are, you know, only lines and they don't fill in. I also usually use white. I don't really know if it works with different colors, because it might or it might not. So what you want to do is just make sure your color is white, unless, of course, you wanted a different color. That's just the color I normally do it. You are going to go to brush width and select just whatever brush width you want. Now it really takes trial and error, so you're just going to use this and draw a square and make it look like a border. So I'm just gonna add this on really quick. Now, if you're not happy with how thick the square is, all you need to do is go to brush width and change it again, like that. I'm kind of happy with where it is, so I'll just put it back on 60 or 65. I kind of like either of those, so we'll go with 65. And you're just gonna click finish. Now what you can do is change the layer setting to overlay. Again, all you have to do is go to the layers box and double click it. You can set it to overlay, and I think that looks really cool. So what you can do is also drag it on top of the effects if you want. It'll give it a different look. So you can test it over effects and under effects. Just make sure it's always under your character and on top of your background. Now, of course, you can add text if you want to. You would just go and make a new layer. Always make sure for every effect you add, you make a new layer. That is like a #1 rule. You can make a new layer if you want to for text. Just make sure you drag it on top of every layer, because usually text is going to be up front and bold. You can select this little text icon right here in the toolbox, and then you can just click on your image and write whatever you want. Now you can choose the font, you can choose the size right here, bold, italic, underline, crossed out. You can pretty much make it whatever you want. Also make sure that your color is white unless you want your text a different color. I just usually make mine white, and you can type in whatever you want. Now you guys probably won't have the same fonts as me because I usually download fonts online. If you want different fonts than what's included with your computer, you can always look up like free fonts online and find them. Just make sure the website you're downloading from isn't a virus website or anything. Just make sure that you are safe and okay. So you can just type in whatever you want with your font right here. Again, make sure it's on a new layer. If you're not happy with how it looks, just change the size. And then after you're done changing your text completely, you can just hit finish. Now if you want to move your text and you're not happy with where it is, you can just select the little blue cursor right here with the little like compass looking thing, and you can just drag it around your image. Now usually, again, I like to use my outline object mod to make it like a little bit more 3D and you could see it a little bit easier, so I am just going to use that really quick. And that is pretty much it, guys. So that is pretty much how you make your graphics. I think it is done, but let me know if you guys need to know anything else down in the comments down below, and I will help you out the best I can. Now what you want to do is go to File, Save As, and save it wherever you want to. So I'm going to save it in my file. Now if you're not really done and you're going to want to edit it later with all your layers and stuff, what you want to do is make sure you save it as a paint.net file. And what this does is it preserves your layers, because if you save it as a PNG, it's not going to have your layers there anymore. So you want to make sure that if you're not done with it and you want to come back to it later, you want to make sure it is saved as a paint.net file. And usually if I save them as paint.net files, I usually name them WIP, but this is totally personal preference. WIP stands for work in progress, so I'll usually save it as that and just save. But since I'm done with it, I don't really need it as a WIP, so you're just going to go to Save As, and then Save As Type. You are going to select the type you need it as. Usually most websites take PNG files, so you're just going to save it as PNG. I'm going to name it whatever I want to, like Pickles Graphics, ! And we are just going to click Save and hit OK. You don't have to change any of these settings or look at any of this. You are just going to hit OK, and then it'll ask you if you want to flatten it. So pretty much it's just telling you that after you save it as this, if it is not saved as a paint.net file, it is going to remove all the layers. But since we already saved it as a paint.net file and we are safe and have an option to open the layers again, we are just going to hit flatten, and you are pretty much done. You have just saved your graphics and made your graphics. So just to let you guys know really quick, if you want to reopen your graphics after you are done, if you have saved it as a paint.net file, all you need to do is hit File, Open, and then you can just hit the WIP and double click it and it'll open it for you. So then all your layers will still be there and you can edit it more if you need to come back to it later. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and it helped you make graphics. Again, like I keep saying in the video, if you need absolutely any help whatsoever, leave a comment down below and I will be 100% willing to help you out. I read every single one of my comments. If you guys want to see more tutorials in the future, make sure to leave a big thumbs up on this video. I appreciate it so much. It helps my channel out a lot. If you want to see more videos like this, see graphics videos, gameplay videos, funny skits, subscribe to Pickle Pie down below. Just hit the little subscribe subscribe button. I sometimes do graphics giveaways as well, so if you want to be notified when I post a new video, also make sure to click the bell, because that helps me out so much. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video and it really helped you make a graphics, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye!